My dad's girlfriend has started moaming me now, even though she's only 2 years older than me. I'm 26 years old, and this woman is just 2 years older than me. When my dad first introduced her to the family, he said she was 34. But I did some internet sleuthing because she didn't look that age. I thought I need to know who does her Botox because if she's really 34, she looks amazing. And well, she wasn't 34. Actually, when I first met her, she was only 24 and I was 22. They dated, broke up for 2 years, and I thought that was it. That I'd never see that woman again. Thank God.
But no.
Guess who showed up at my Thanksgiving dinner this year? Uninvited and unexpected? My sister.
I mean, my stepmom.
I don't even know. Obviously, there's always been a weird dynamic between us because she's practically my age and dating my dad. But we always managed to keep things polite and superficial. I never really tried to get to know her. Can you blame me? Usually, she kept to herself, stayed close to my dad, and understood how awkward the situation was. But that completely changed during our family trip this weekend. My dad, my sister, and I always go to his cabin one weekend a year just to hang out. It's a cute little family tradition. But imagine my surprise when I got there and saw none other than my dad's girlfriend. It even grosses me out to say that, considering the age gap. He didn't give us any warning. None. He didn't tell us she was coming. And honestly, if he wanted to bring her, fine. That's his choice. He can do whatever he wants. But at least give us a heads up, so we're not blindsided. And let's be honest, I never imagined this woman spending an entire weekend in the woods. She's basically my dad's sugar baby. He does everything for her, pays all her bills, buys her everything she wants. She only wears designer clothes, drives an expensive car that my dad bought for her. My dad never bought me or my sister a car that nice. She lives a life of luxury on my dad's dime. That girl looked like a baby deer getting out of the car, trying to walk on dirt and leaves in her Louboutins. Like, girl, I love Louboutins too, but there's a time and place for them. And a cabin in the woods is definitely not it. As soon as we got inside the cabin, she started acting weird, making it clear that my sister and I were from a totally different generation than her. For example, she started explaining to us what Vine was. She said something like, "Oh, back in my day, we had Vine instead of TikTok. It was the best. I wish you had the chance to experience it." And I was like, yeah, I did experience it. I had Vine. We're the same age. Later, my sister and I were just goofing around, teasing each other like sisters do. She suddenly came in and said, "Girls, stop it," in this super authoritative tone. I was like, Who? Who are you talking to? Because you cannot possibly be talking to me and my sister. I guess she thought we were fighting or something, but we couldn't help it. We burst out laughing. It was absolutely ridiculous. She was acting like we were 7-year-olds fighting over a toy. Then, when my sister was about to take a shower, she practically shoved her aside and said, "Wait. Before you shower, let me explain how it works because it can be really confusing. This is our family cabin, where we've spent weekends since we were little girls. We know how the shower works." But she spent the entire weekend talking to us like we were idiots. She also kept calling us the girls. Like, don't the girls look so cute tonight? Always cute, never pretty, beautiful, or anything else. Always cute. But the worst part was when my sister and I were watching a movie around 10:30 p.m. on Saturday night. She walked into the living room and said, "Okay, girls, it's bedtime." Bedtime? Since when do I have a bedtime? And I was still trying to be nice for my dad's sake. So I said, "Oh, we're just finishing this movie and then we'll go to bed." And she replied, "No, that's not what I said. I said it's bedtime now. It's time for the adults to be awake and have some adult time without the kids around." Adults? Kids? You're 2 years older than me. You were dating my dad when you were younger than I am now. At that point, I lost it. I looked at her and said, "You can play house and live off my dad, but don't come in here and patronize me and my sister." I told her, "I don't want to fight with you, but I promise that's not a fight you want to start or one you'd win." She ran off crying to my dad about how mean I was to her. Like, girl, I've been polite to you for years even though this situation is weird. You should be grateful this is the first time I actually stood up to you. I don't even know what to do anymore because ignoring her doesn't seem like an option now. After that night at the cabin, I thought maybe my dad would understand my side. After all, I had always tried to keep the peace, even though this whole situation was ridiculous. But of course, I underestimated how much power this woman has over him. The next morning, the atmosphere was tense. My dad barely looked at me or my sister during breakfast, while she made a point to sit next to him, playing the victim. She didn't even try to hide her fake tears, clearly trying to manipulate him even more. My dad started in a firm tone. "We need to talk about what happened last night." I rolled my eyes. I knew a lecture was coming, but I didn't expect what he said next. "I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to start treating Amanda with more respect." Respect? I couldn't help but laugh. A bitter, disbelieving laugh. Respect? I've been polite to her for years, even when she's been acting like my babysitter. And now you want me to treat her like, what? He leaned forward, his face turning red with anger. "Like your mother." That sentence echoed in my head. It was like a slap in the face. My real mother had been an incredible woman. Strong, intelligent, loving. And now he wanted me to put this girl, because that's what she is, on the same level? You have to be kidding me, Dad. This woman is 2 years older than me. How do you expect me to see her as a mother figure? Amanda, of course, took the opportunity to jump in. She gently placed her hand on his shoulder, faking a calmness I knew was calculated. "I don't want to cause problems in the family. I just want to be a part of this, help bring everyone together." My sister, who had been quiet until then, snapped. "Help? You've been treating us like kids since you got here. Want to explain how the shower works again, just to make sure we got it?" Amanda put on that offended face she was so good at, and my dad immediately stepped in to defend her. "Enough." He slammed his hand on the table so hard that even I jumped. "I won't tolerate this kind of behavior. Amanda is part of this family now. You both need to accept that." "Part of the family?" I stared at him, trying to process it. "Dad, do you hear yourself? This woman is with you for your money. Everyone sees it but you." That was the breaking point. He stood up, pointing his finger at me. "That's enough. I won't let you keep disrespecting Amanda like this. If you can't accept it, maybe you shouldn't be part of these family trips anymore." That hit me hard. He was basically excluding me from the family for her. Amanda, meanwhile, hid a satisfied smirk behind fake tears. "I can't believe you're saying this." My voice trembled with anger and pain. "You're choosing her, someone you barely know, over me and my sister? We are your daughters." He crossed his arms, looking at me like I was the problem. "Maybe it's time for you to grow up and stop acting like a spoiled child. Amanda is trying to build something with us, and all you do is push her away." My sister stood up, ready to leave. "Let's go. This is ridiculous." Before I could say anything, Amanda spoke again, with that soft, manipulative voice I knew all too well. "No, please don't go. I really want to work this out. I just want us to be a united family." "Family?" My sister laughed bitterly. "Do you really think you can buy us with that fake speech? We don't need you here." Amanda looked at my dad, who immediately defended her again. "You two need to stop attacking Amanda. She's here to stay, and you need to learn to live with that." I said nothing. I grabbed my things and left the table. My sister followed me. But before we could leave the cabin, my dad called out to us one more time. "If you leave now, don't think about coming back until you apologize to Amanda." I turned around and looked him straight in the eyes. "Apologize? Please, Dad. When you finally realize what's going on, it might already be too late." We walked out together, my sister and I, without looking back. On the drive home, the silence was heavy. I knew in that moment something had shifted in our family. Amanda had gotten exactly what she wanted, a division between us and my dad. But I knew this wasn't over. This situation was going to get worse before it got better. And I wasn't about to back down. If he expected me to apologize, he was going to be waiting a very long time. The days that followed that disaster at the cabin were suffocating. The silence between my father and me was heavier than any argument we had ever had. No calls, no messages. Just emptiness. I knew he was upset with me, but I was furious with him too. And with Amanda. Especially Amanda. It was only 3 days later that the inevitable happened. I received a cold, dry text on my phone. It was from my father. "Dinner at my house Friday, 8 p.m. I want everyone there so we can sort this out." "No, please. No, how are you?" "Just an order." I sighed. Part of me didn't want to go, but another part, well, maybe a small part of me still hoped he would realize the mistake he was making. On Friday, I went to his house. The house where I grew up. But as I walked through the door, everything felt strange. Cold. Like I was a stranger there. Amanda was already there, of course, sitting comfortably on the couch, scrolling through her phone as if that space had always been hers. My sister sat silently on the other side of the room, avoiding eye contact. My dad was in the kitchen, and dinner was already served on the table. We sat down. The atmosphere was unbearable. Silence, forced chewing, and tension hanging in the air like a thick cloud. My father, who had called for this dinner, barely spoke. He just ate, staring at his plate. Amanda, as always, didn't miss the chance to take control. "Well, since no one wants to start," she said, slamming her utensils down on the plate. "We need to talk about this unacceptable behavior." I roll my eyes and sighed. "What behavior, Amanda? Not accepting being treated like a child by you?" She smiled, but it lacked any warmth. "Do you really think you can keep disrespecting your father and me?" She leaned over the table, eyes sharp. "If you keep this up, I'll have to start setting limits. And I won't hesitate to ground you, understand?" Her words echoed through the room. Ground me? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I looked at my father, waiting for any reaction. Anything. But he kept eating, as if nothing had happened. Amanda continued. "In fact, it's about time you understood that there's a hierarchy here. And if you don't learn to respect it, I can take away some privileges. You like coming here, don't you? Well, that could end." My throat tightened. My hands trembled.
I didn't know what to say.
My father was still there, silent, pretending not to hear. My voice came out weak, but full of pain. "Are you hearing this, Dad? Is this what you want for your family? Because I can't do this anymore." I stood up, so quickly the chair nearly fell over. "I'm leaving. I'm going far away. I can't stand watching you let her humiliate me like this. I can't listen to you compare my mother to this." I pointed at Amanda, who now looked at me with pure disdain. My sister's eyes widened, shocked by my outburst. Amanda, of course, just crossed her arms with that smug, victorious smile. I was just about to walk out when, for the first time that night, I heard my father's voice. "Wait." I stopped but didn't turn around. My tears were on the verge of falling. He slowly got up from the table. The silence was broken only by the heavy sound of his footsteps. "Amanda, leave." The room went silent. I turned around, unable to believe what I had just heard. Amanda, stunned, let out a nervous laugh. "Excuse me?" My father stared at her with a firmness I hadn't seen in years. "You heard me."
Leave. Now.
She froze for a moment, but then started laughing as if he were joking. "You can't be serious. After everything I'd done for you?" My father took a step forward. I said now. "No woman, no one, humiliates my daughter like that. No one." Amanda's eyes widened in shock. She looked at me, then at him, realizing he wasn't joking. "You'll regret this," she hissed before grabbing her purse and slamming the door on her way out. The house was completely silent. I stood there, frozen, not knowing what to say. My father ran a hand over his face, clearly exhausted. "I'm sorry," he mumbled, but that apology felt hollow. It didn't erase everything that had happened. It didn't change the fact that he only acted when he saw I was about to leave. "She's not the only problem, Dad." My voice was low but steady. "You let this happen. You put her above us."
He didn't respond.
He just stood there, staring at the floor.
I took a step back.
"I still need time. I don't know how long, but I can't stay here right now." Without waiting for an answer, I grabbed my things and walked out. The night was cold, but breathing in the crisp air felt like relief. I felt the tears falling, but I kept walking. My father had defended me, but the damage was already done. It took me a long time to forgive my father. But honestly, I think I needed to forgive myself first. The anger I felt toward him slowly faded over time, but it didn't disappear overnight. How could it? Not after everything that happened. But what started to eat away at me wasn't the anger, it was guilt. A quiet, suffocating guilt that grew day by day. I started noticing how my father had been since that night. He wasn't the same man anymore. The man who used to be confident and steady now seemed small, withdrawn. He moved slower, his eyes always downcast, as if he was carrying a weight he couldn't shake off. And that weight was Amanda. He never said anything, but I could see it. He was suffering. Suffering because he had sent her away, because he had chosen me and my sister over her. And even though he probably knew he did the right thing, it clearly came at a cost. I started wondering if I had done the right thing. If I had pushed too hard. Amanda was unbearable, manipulative. That's true. But did I really need to force my father to choose? Did I need to throw everything I thought about her in his face? Maybe not. Maybe I should have let him figure it out on his own. Because in the end, it wasn't my life. It was his. Seeing my father alone, withdrawn, slowly began to eat away at me. And the more time passed, the more I wondered if the choice he made was really out of love for me or out of fear of losing the only family he had left. And that hurts. It hurts more than I ever expected. And Amanda? Well, Amanda did what Amanda always does. She ran. It didn't take long for her to disappear. I heard she moved back in with her mother in another city, tried to stay in touch with some people here, but no one wanted anything to do with her. The mask had fallen off. She lost what mattered most to her, the financial security my father provided. And I wonder if she ever actually cared about him, or if it was all just convenience. Maybe she missed the comfort, the stability, or maybe not. Maybe to her, my father was just another failed investment. But honestly, that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what was left behind. And what was left was this emptiness between my father and me. An emptiness that time hasn't fully erased. I moved on, but I never looked at him the same way again. And I don't think he ever looked at me the same either. Maybe because, deep down, we both know there were no winners in this story.